Hey guys, Zangetsu here, and doing my weekly review of GARO, Chapter the Black Wolf, and we are doing. What is that weird? That weird light thing. Anyway, we're on to GARO episode 12. There it is again. What is that? Alright, anyway, I'll just talk like there, right here. Like this. So, in this episode, Koga is training, and Kaoru and Gonza reminisce about. Or, well, Gonza, rather, reminisces to Kaoru about the days when Koga was not his master, and when Koga used to be a much happier person when his father Taiga was still alive. This is basically the origins of Koga and also introducing us to what happened to Taiga and when he died. And also get to see his father as Garo. So yeah, this is probably the best episode of this season. Or at least one of them, the other being the Trial of Shadows episode where Koga gains Goten. Yeah, no, it's really good. The episode actually does set up really well, like what time period this is taking in, because I want to say it takes place in the 60s or 70s here, even though it looks like it's taking place in modern day. I say six or seven, 70s or 60s just because of the fact that at one point they show child Koga looking at a toy store and you can see a plastic Rodan toy. It looks like 70s like Rodan toy. I could be wrong about that because they never really state what time the show is taking place in. I've got the spoon here as a back scratcher. Yeah, I'm weird. I know. But yeah, it's a really neat episode. It's actually very light on dialogue, which I think works for the fact that you're using a child actor to portray Koga, and I think he does really well at just portraying a child without talking a lot. Um, and surprisingly, for a Toku piece, the child actor is not a bad actor. Like I actually found him kind of cute. Like like he did really well at being cute. Because in a lot of Toku, particularly Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, the child actors are either abysmally bad or obnoxious. Not the case here. I actually really like how he was wearing like a button up shirt that was like a. I didn't realize my armpits were being shown there. I apologize for that. Sorry, I forgot I was wearing a sleeveless T-shirt. No one needs to see that. I apologize for that. Um, there we go. Okay, we'll go with that weird little light block if it means I don't have to show my armpits. So, yeah, I love he wears like a button up shirt that's like 2 or 3 sizes too big for him to act like his Makai Knight jacket. Um, which is hilarious, especially when you watch him and Taiga train, and you see him imitate Taiga's sword movements. It's really cute. Um, we get to see a lot of like the interactions that will shape Koga, particularly his interactions with his father and his interactions with Gonza, who I love how they try to make him younger here by just having him shave his mustache off and dyeing his hair black. That was clearly done like either like way at the beginning of the series so that he could grow the mustache in for the regular episodes, or he shaved it like after production was over. Because this series is only 26 episodes, so I could imagine them being able to do all the production before the series ever came out. Um, Whereas like shows like Super Sentai will do like the first 6 months of the series and then the last 6 months of the series, I think separately. Or kind of film a couple of months in advance and then film as they go. Um but yeah, stupid thumb, shot. But yeah, like we actually see how much of a good father both Gonza and Taiga were to Koga. We never see Koga's mother, and they'll explain why we don't see her. In Beast of the Midnight Sun. Um, yeah. It's really neat. I like seeing the different training styles. Like, I love the virtual reality thing that they use with Zaruba. Um, and it's really neat. We also get to see Koga come along with Taiga on a couple of horror hunts. And usually he'll have like Koga just stand in the middle of a city by himself. Like, this is a little boy, and I don't know why he just lets Koga just. Sorry, that's a little dry. Should have got some water or something. Um. Yeah. He was like just leaves him in the middle of a road at the dark of night, and like goes to a horror hunt, and then Koga just like is left to be, which I don't think anyone really would do if they just saw a child just standing out in the middle of the street, both if you're malevolent or a good person. Um. So yeah. I like that. Koga. I will admit they kind of make Toga seem kind of like a jerk, or Taiga seem kind of like a jerk as Koga gets distracted by a horror who makes toys, and the horror uses that to his advantage to make to convince Koga to end up being a hostage. And where it doesn't work is Taiga's like, I'm gonna kill you. I won't let you kill my son, so I'm just gonna kill you. But, like, after like he does that, like, I guess to point out how reckless and dangerous that was for Koga, despite the fact that like clearly Tiger was going to destroy him because he was a horror. Although I think it kind of implies this is the first time Koga ever sees a horror, like, at all. Um, and so it kind of seems like because he smacks him so hard the kid falls, and I'm like that seems kind of counterproductive to teaching him, but otherwise he seems like a fairly decent father. He holds Koga's hand, he takes him, he talks with him, he shows him how to fight. He teaches him about Soul Metal, which I'll get to. But like, there's a really nice scene where like Koga's sleeping and like Taiga comes to see him after Gonza tucks him in, and it shows that I think Koga had a decent childhood. I know some people think that like this shows like Taiga's kind of a not very good father, but I don't see it that way. Um, I see him as a very good father, just maybe a little bit rough around the edges kind of father. But yeah, we actually get to see how Soul Metal works because he has a piece that he's going to be training Koga with from that point forward. Um, and it like the minute Koga tries to pick it up, it falls. Like he can't pick it up, and Tiger points out that it can be as heavy as a piece of meteor metal or as light as a feather, and he does so by holding the soul metal in his hand, waving his palm around, and makes it float. Like literally, you can like your will can be so strong, you can make the metal like levitate. And we see Taiga is pretty strong too. Like we see him like slice stuff, and like it'll cause like air currents, which is something we never see Koga do. Like Taiga is apparently so well trained that like, oh, sorry, I should have done this before I woke up. But like he can control air currents and stuff, and like his fight with this character at the end that will be important to the rest of the plot of the later half of the series is just like he creates an air current so hard it almost knocks Koga over when Koga sneaks out when he finds out that Tiger's going after this guy named Bonago. And so yeah, when we see him suit up in this, we actually get to see like how something that will play out the rest of the series in that every Makai knight's eyes are different in the GARO armor. That's actually how you can tell who is in the GARO armor if you don't see them, because they have different colored eyes. Koga's is like this goldish brown, brown, whereas Taiga's are blood red, which is really creepy. It makes Taiga and GARO look really scary. But But yeah, so basically we kind of see why Koga is the way he is because his father's going after a Makai Knight who's been turned into a horror, which is the first time we'll ever see in this series a Makai Knight turn to the dark side, basically. Um, and yeah, and it's a really intense fight, and like, and Barago does start to lose. Like he manages to hold his own pretty well, but then Barago starts breaking his arms and damaging him so hard, like the armor starts like sparking, like sparks come off where he's injured, and like his hand gets cut pretty bad because he blocks Barago's sword with his hand, and then Barago squeezes it so like he draws blood. It's pretty intense. Um, and so Koga tries to he ends up getting disarmed and losing the Garo Ken, and Koga tries to pick it up, and he can't because he's not strong enough yet. And Barago decides he's going to kill the kid too. And just about he's about to kill Koga, Barago gets in the way and gets impaled on his arm, which is really messed up. And like you even see Barago and he looks like a horror. And so like with his last bounces of strength, Taiga manages to use this little blade on the arm of the Garo armor to carve into his face. And I think the idea being because they'll talk about this again that like it's some sort of weird curse mark that Makai Knights can do that will slowly and agonizingly kill the opponent if they fail. And after he leaves, he collapses and dies. Although I think later on the show, like, cause they'll show later after like towards the end of the episode that during this scene, Zardoba actually manages to keep Taiga's soul here long enough that Taiga can leave a message with Koga. And in my opinion, I think this message, for good and for bad, kind of defines Koga's character. Where Taiga tells him, after this day, you have to become the knight the Golden Knight Garo. And at first I think Koga's like, I don't want to, but I think it's more because he doesn't want his dad to die, which fair. And like, and then so Taiga's spirit embraces him one last time and tells him, which will be important later on, like in the fourth season. One of the things that like Taiga's known for, and that is he tells him to be strong. And after this, like we'll see that like Koga trains and spends most of his time trained to be strong enough to lift the Garo Ken, which has been left in the woods. Um, and he tries lifting it, and then Gonza tries to use heavy machinery to pick it up. Like he uses like like one of those log picking up claw like those trucks with the big like claw arms that used to pick up logs, and like all that does is gets it up in the air enough so that it will fall, bounce, and then impale itself on its blade like the sword in the stone. Basically, it's like Excalibur or the sword in the stone. I say Excalibur or the sword in the stone because I think in certain myths Excalibur isn't the sword in the stone. I think sometimes it's it's the sword that Arthur is given by the Lady of the Lake. I think I don't know Arthurian lore very well, so if you want to tell me in the comments which sword the sword in the stone is, that's fine. I'll admit I don't know Arthurian lore very well. But that's clearly a reference to the sword in the stone. So, um, yeah, and so we get this montage of Koga training and getting older until finally we see like adult Koga, and he finally is able to lift the sword out of the ground, and it shows him like getting ready to do a stance with the sword, and then we go from the Garo Ken unsealed to the Garo Ken sealed and in Koga's hands training, and the episode ends with Gonza putting his coat on, Koga putting Zaruba on, and going off to do battle with another horror. Yeah, this is such a great episode. I really recommend, if you haven't been watching along with me, that you should start watching it along with me. I've also realized I should have been doing this from the beginning. I'm going to start putting links to the episodes in into the description. I'm probably at some point going to go back and I will put links to so you can follow along with me. Um, into the descriptions. This is probably the longest one of these that I've done since like the first episode. Just because it does a lot. It shows the legacy of Koga, the legacy of Garo, and just the fact that like we learn about how the soul metal works. We finally learn about what happened to Taiga, what caused his death. We see how Koga and Gonza have been shaped by this. We actually see him forming his bond with Zarba. It's such a great episode. It's one of the reasons why I love this series so much. It's willing to just stop and show us this world and show us how the characters have been formed by like their experiences and such. But yeah, overall it's just a great episode. So yeah, once I get this episode uploaded and I get to a computer, I will put in a link in the description to follow along. And yeah, so that's it, guys. Next episode's gonna be a clip show. So what I'm gonna do is I will watch episode 13 and 14, so we can talk about the clip show, for like a couple seconds, and then go into the actual next episode. Every series has a clip show, so that's what I'm going to do from this point forward. So that way I'm not watching like since I'm doing this weekly now. It won't be like, oh, I'm just gonna do the clip show, have nothing to talk about and do like a 5-minute episode. Oh, sorry about that. So yeah, that's my review of Garo Chapter the Black Wolf episode 12, and I will catch you guys next with the next one. So take care.